Chapter 84. Before what would later be known as our universe existed, it was a single point so immeasurably microscopic that it was technically zero of size. Yet it was so immeasurably heavy, it was considered to have infinite weight. For reasons debatable, to say the least, that point exploded, thus creating all of existence, including space, entropy, and my personal favorite, time.
"Who the bloody hell is she whispering to?"
Sully asked. Mr. Blue quickly dripped D3 on a nearby lounging chair inside of Purge. The moment the unconscious and possessed woman touched the comfortable furniture, the entire control room was flooded with piercing red lights, a klaxon blasting loudly. Purge echoed from an intercom.
"Temporal monitor consciousness detected."
Sully covered his ears.
"We know, it's the seat."
"Why the hell would you bring her here?"
Purge demanded overhead. Mr. Blue typed furiously on the Cobalt console, immediately stopping the horrendous noise. Bright crimson warning beams continued to flare intermittently overhead. The retired Commodore watched the lectern change shape, creating another panel.
"I'm going to slave purchase Major Circus over to you, Commodore."
The alien in blue explained, then jumped down to the platform.
"You're going to do what?"
Sully demanded.
No, you are not. You are really not,"
Purge yelled.
"Too late."
Mr. Blue cheerfully, yet firmly, gripped Sully on the shoulders, pushed him in front of the new IO-TARDIS Coral interface. Sully regarded it dismally.
"I'm not qualified for whatever in God's name this is."
It was dripping with goo, all slimy. Mr. Blue forced the retired Commodore's hands into an organic lectern. Suddenly, Sully felt very warm, giddy, nice little buzz.
"I can do this."
He smiled sheepishly, like he'd had a few.
"You may want to get your liver checked out. Just saying."
Purge nagged the Commodore. Abruptly, her voice interface capability was turned off.
"Where to? Sorry, when to?"
Sully grinned. The Time Lord sighed, ignoring his new pilot. He placed his palm over D3's glistening, feverish forehead. She was flesh, which was good. Still attached via psychic link. Better. Uh-oh. More whispering. For everything that has come into existence, the force of the first powerful, primal explosion needed to be an exact match, opposite to the force of gravity. Do you have any idea how perfectly accurate that must have had to be? Imagine hitting a 1-inch bullseye on a target on the opposite side of the observable universe, 13 billion light years away, with a single bullet, fired from a single pistol. In other words, not possible.
"Who is she whispering to, old man?" Yes, I heard you the first time. Still don't know. I think she's whispering to herself,"
Mr. Blue concluded. Sully peered over at the Time Lord.
"Oh, okay. Took you bloody long enough."
Mr. Blue continued his evaluation. He could sense D3. Sense she was enraged, confused, frightened. She thought she was dreaming all of this. Dreaming about how unfair life is. How everything was going all wrong. D3 was perceiving deceit as a stronger version of herself. A darker version. Deceit was winning. The whispering continued. Unfair? No, it is fair. No one seems to grasp the relative dimension in space aspect. For every mistake you've made, every regret you have, there is a version of you that didn't make those mistakes, and doesn't carry that burden or regret. Existence itself is fundamentally fair because every possible outcome of every major moment in your life, every important decision you've made, one way or another, has happened. Good and middling and bad, all accounted for, all simultaneous. And it is happening to the exact same living being, infinite versions of the same tachyon configuration. Superpositioned, all possibilities are occurring. You simply aren't allowed to observe them because they're all happening on their own. Separate realities. All possible branches of the same tree that you can't see for the infinite quantum forest.
You need to shut the lass up, Sully recommended. Having great difficulty concentrating.
No response. Mr. Blue couldn't get through the psychic static. Deceit was too chaotic, and she had too strong of a grip. He could not reach D3, couldn't wake her from what she thought was a nightmare. The old Time Lord severed the link. He coughed loudly, spitting up orange blood as he fell back from D3. Sully followed Purge's instructions and visualized a comforting time and place to take them to. That was easy. Suddenly, the ship initiated her flight, and as quickly as it had begun, they materialized. Sully withdrew his hands and wiped slime on his shirt as he looked over at the sick Time Lord.
What's going on with you?
Sycamore Downs was temporarily locked, remember? We were in the shell static time with a superstate reading of null.
Sure. If you say so.
Sully, I thought Sycamore Downs was in some kind of bubble. A sphere where time couldn't penetrate. Turns out that Sycamore Downs, that version of the village, was Deceit's Evertatis. We were inside the damn thing the whole time. Deceit was rendered powerless and lost control long enough for Purge to break free.
Oh, bloody hell. You were injured. You only had one heart.
Quite. Now that we've left her Evertatis, I'm back to being in the normal flow of time. The excess Archon energy dissipated.
He stood, shakily, and slowly returned to the console to retrieve his exclamation mark cane.
I'm still dying, Sully.
He slowly pointed at D3.
I am too damaged, too weak to exercise deceit.
A moment of quiet inside the flashing red time capsule. Then only the eternal hum of the continent-sized engines deep inside Purge, letting them know she was still breathing, still listening. Mr. Blue cheerfully asked,
Where'd you land us to, old boy?
Have a look for yourself.
Sully quietly lit a cigarette. The Time Lord stepped out onto a rain-slicked roof. He took a sharp inhale and a visual scan. Superhuman senses, gathering more than the scent of petrichor, more than that beautiful bluish-gray-hued clouds.
We're in London. Mayfair,
he announced.
That should be bloody obvious.
Judging by the technological and architectural surroundings, we are in 1969.
Sully nodded, grinning.
Impressive. We're on the north side of Wall Street, on the top of the vacant office building.
Fascinating.
Mr. Blue stared around absently.
Why?
This was a great day, old man. I'm 29. I live on Seville Row, right over there.
He pointed.
And in just a couple of hours, the Beatles are about to play an impromptu performance on the rooftop of the Apple office.
Mr. Blue walked slowly across the roof, staring up at the darkening heavens. Sully followed the tired, injured Time Lord as he smiled and placed his hands on the ledge, gazing out to the past. Inside Purge, the scarlet strobe lights continued to flare bright, then dimmed, bright and dim. The time capsule was registering massive fluctuations in temporal Mordor-possessed D3, whispering, then, supposed living things such as humans all started from vague chemical soup. If you examine the mathematics of this event in terms of possibility, then purely by random chance, the odds are better that if you flip a coin and have it turn up heads about 6 million times in a row consecutively, than ever to have a single living cell simply appear out of nowhere, as it did. There is something guiding all of existence, and it is fair. Perhaps not fair in the way that you'd wish, but the universe is not all random, not all chaos. This is scientific fact. We know that the universe contains order. It's just, unfortunately, it's just not entirely comprehensible. In this reality, for existence, I get more lives. Something like 11 or 12 more. And I get a brand new time capsule. Why? Who knows? It's really not my place to question the unfathomable planes of the cosmos. But I know I can't wait. Not anymore. Deceit stood, wearing D3's body, her black, swirling vortex eyes leering toward the entry wall. Abruptly, the temporal Mordor bolted out of the time machine in a dead run. With Perch's vocal messaging interface severed, the Io TARDIS could not warn. D3 tore across the rooftop at top speed, tackling Mr. Blue, colliding against the Time Lord with such velocity and impact that they both flew over the ledge. Sully helplessly watched the Time Lord and the renegade Time Lady plummet to the concrete below.